facilitation, and Keynote. I now present to you Monica Koss.
Outside that is selling my book on authentic living, as well as some of the concepts that you'll hear in my brief but hopefully impactful talk that we'll have right now. So once upon a time, there was a woman named Ronnie, and she moved from the south up to the north with her children, or actually with her husband. But a little while after she was in the north, her husband unexpectedly left. He had mental illness, and he thought that their family would be better without him. Well, needless to say, she was devastated. She felt stuck. She had she had 2 children, a mortgage, bills to pay, and the list goes on. What was she to do? Well, for a while, she remained in her sadness, giving the best that she could to her children and trying to help them to not really understand the potential consequences to their family of their father leaving. And then something happened. She recognized her choice to dwell and suffer more, or move and get unstuck.
I see what you mean, Monica. It's very slippery up here. Thank you, Shirley, for that introduction. And Monica, thank you for those inspiring words. You were fantastic. In fact, brought tears to my eyes listening to that story. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
What a beautiful audience. And I want to congratulate you, Anna, on your 7th year anniversary of hosting this fabulous women's conference. We were just speaking a short while ago about when she first started. And it was 7 years ago at Daryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen Restaurant. Many of you know them. It had 30 women there. So you have really hit on something that has captured the spirit, and it continues to grow. So you continue to do all these great things. Congratulations again. It's wonderful to be with you this morning and to share the stage with these distinguished women, many of whom I've known for more than 25 years throughout my career and professional development. With this year hailed as the Year of the Woman, Anne thought it very appropriate to invite Pamela and I here to talk to you about the work of the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus and how important it is for women to become actively and civically engaged. As you know, I'm Gail Jackson Blount, and I've been involved with the Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus since 2010. When I joined the board, it was because I had a personal sense that I was destined to do something greater and to make an impact in the lives of women, and to do something that was much bigger than myself. And I think that we all have that spirit. And since that time, as I said, I understood and I respected the mission, of the organization that I wanted to be involved in. For these past 2 years, serving as board president of the caucus, which is also called MWPC for short, following 2 consecutive terms as vice president. The Mass Women's Political Caucus was established in 1971 as the first organization in the country to train, educate, and actively work to get women, to help get women elected to public office and public policy positions. We are a nonpartisan, pro-choice women's organization dedicated to getting as many women elected to public office as possible. We've been more at risk of being eliminated, and we've been too far. We have come too far as in the nation to go backwards. Women's rights are human rights. Our families, communities, and country need these women to get involved. We all have a role to play to make this a better world and a better society. The theme of today's conference, Reclaiming Her Story, is very appropriate. The manifesto of former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was very clear. As long as discrimination and inequalities remain so commonplace around the world, as long as girls and women are valued less, fed less, overworked, underpaid, not schooled, and subjected to violence in and out of their homes, the potential of human family to create a peaceful, prosperous world will not be realized. In many instances, we're the primary caregivers of our children and our elder parents. So who better to represent our issues at the table in the House of Legislature? We are living in a time that requires a more intentional type of leadership. With more women in politics, we can and will reclaim our rights. And at the end, we will reclaim and demonstrate how your story is told. As you know, achieving success is no singular act. It takes dedication, passion, and one with similar values and leadership. So before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge and introduce our Executive Director, Lori Martinelli, who has joined us this morning and who will be available to talk with you at the end of today's program and throughout the day. Lori, will you stand so that people can say hello and know who you are? The saying it takes a village is very true. And joining me on this morning's program is Pamela Berman. Pam is the current Vice President of Massachusetts Women's Political Caucus, who has been an incredibly invaluable partner to me in leading this organization. In addition to her role with MWPC, Pam is an accomplished attorney and is a managing partner with the law firm Robbins Kaplan, one of the nation's premier trial law firms with more than 250 lawyers in 8 cities across the country. She is a trial lawyer with 30-plus years experience, including significant jury and non-jury experience. Her clients know her to be responsive, quick on her feet, and methodical, carefully planning each case from the outset and reacting quickly when circumstances require.
Until this day, I can sit and say, am I successful? I do all right. I live. You know, I don't have no complaints. I thank God every day because I am working. And I was telling somebody today, we're busy. So I guess that's a good problem to have. But then goes the problem where we're too busy, where we don't have enough people to cater to everybody. So it's always something that always happens. You know what I mean? So, okay, let's get to the good stuff. Just wanted to give y'all a little bit. So, my thing, we're going to start off with why is it imperative to start your own business? I believe that this day and age, women, we have stepped out on the forefront and we're doing a lot of things. And women are the breadwinners of most homes nowadays. We're making more money than a lot of men. So a lot of times women are the ones that I'm seeing a lot of women owning their own businesses, which I love and I try to support. But it is imperative to start your business, but we also have to know what we're getting into if we want to start a business. Because I still believe it's not for everybody. So everybody sitting in the room can say, I want to open a business, but do you really want to open a business? Are you really going to be successful? Are you going to make enough money to make your bills, be happy? Because it's a lot. All right, so some of the examples that I have on why it is imperative to start your own business. One would be it's a new business opportunity. Now, if you have a business opportunity, when I went to California, a salon dropped in my lap. I was not planning on opening a salon at that time. It was not on my radar, but it fell in my lap. So what do? Okay, I'm gonna take it. Do I really wanna work in someone else's salon? No. I tried it, it just wasn't working. So when something like kind of falls in your lap, it is a new opportunity. So sometimes those type of risks we take because it's there. So that's a reason to just open up. You might have an idea that is sizable amount of people are willing to pay for. Whenever you are trying to open a business or want to open a business, everyone has ideas. But do you notice a lot of people have some of the same ideas? Or you see someone else doing something, so you're like, well, I can do that too. But it's always good if you have an idea that nobody's doing. But if you have a sizable idea that people are willing to pay for, that's a good reason to open a business. These are things that you really have to think about. Like everybody wants to be a hairdresser. I don't know why. Everybody wants to sell hair, sell clothes. All right, if you don't mind taking on new responsibilities and you enjoy learning by doing all it takes to get your business off the ground. So right there, it's like you have to be entrepreneurs are a certain type of person, first of all. We're hardworking, we're hustlers by nature. So that means you're going to do everything you have to do to make this business work. You cannot be lazy, you cannot depend on anybody else. First off, it has to come from you. And usually, even if you have employees or people that work with you, they follow you. You're still the leader. Everything comes from you because it's your business. And as I tell anybody, nobody can sell your business like you can. Because I have tried it. You can hire people, they just don't do the same thing. It's very rare that you can have someone that duplicates everything that you do. Right? Of you, that's the hard part. All right, your optimism towards your idea has to be very strong. So whatever idea you come up with, you have to really believe this idea is going to work. I know people, they come up with lots of ideas. Every week they got a different idea. And they ain't doing nothing. So you have to really want this. Like, it has to come from your heart. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? It has to mean more than, like, your husband's. Like, you have to really, like, listen, your money got to come first. Your husband might leave, you still can have your money. So you got to love this. Like, you got to love what you do. I always tell people in my business, if you love what you do, the money will come. So that doesn't just work for my business, it works for any business. If you love what you do, the money will come. A lot of people go into a business because of the money. They see, the people that do that type of business makes a lot of money. So I want to go into that business. But then they don't have the heart for it. So how successful do you think you'll be? You really won't be as successful because you're doing it because someone else is doing it. Because you think that you're going to make money. But if you love what you do, and everything you put out, no matter what it is, people are going to see it, they're talking about it, the love shows. Therefore, the money's going to come because everybody's coming to your business because they know how much you love it. So if you have to love what you do, trust me. And if you're working in a type of business where you're dealing with the public on a regular basis, like I do, you have to love it. You got to look at people all day, every day, all night, all day. So you have to, I love what I do. Everybody who knows me, they know I love what I do. And which is probably why I have so many clients that still come to me for the last 25 years. That says a lot when you can have business, longevity in your business that long. So, but the love is really the key, I feel, is the key for everything. All right. Now, the next thing is refusing to accept failure. Do you guys really think you can refuse to accept failure? Which means it's not an option, which means you're going to do everything in your power to make it work. You guys are quiet. Are you guys thinking? Rethinking these ideas you had? And as I said, the next one is passion for craft, but I'll say passion, love. I still think that's all falls in the same thing. You have to have a passion for what you're doing. And it doesn't matter what type of business we're in. As an entrepreneur, all businesses are run basically the same way. We have to market ourselves, we have to get clients, we have to make money. So no matter what business you're in, they're similar on those terms. You guys agree? So we do several businesses. We have salons, we have hair companies, we sell. So we're salespeople, we service people, so no matter what business you're in, they all need the same thing. Love, lots of attention, lots of marketing, all of those things. You guys understand? You agree? All right. Now, most people that want to come off of their regular jobs and be entrepreneurs is because they want to work less. Do you ever hear that? How many people say, I want to go work for myself so I don't have to do all these hours over here for this person? How many of you guys say that? If you all think you're going to leave your 9 to 5, 40-hour job to go work for yourself and think you're going to work less, you are sadly mistaken. You're going to work double. So you're almost probably working 60 to 80 hours a week opposed to the 40 hours you was doing for somebody else. On, should I leave my job? Because, I make these little cookies. And they're real good, because Sally likes them next door. And you know, everybody likes my cookies. When I take them to my son's school, I think I can sell cookies and make a lot of money. It takes more than that the person next door likes your cookies. You know what I'm saying? So when you sit there and say, I'm going to quit my job to make these cookies, you're going to have to make a whole lot of cookies to probably make a lot of money. Now you started with cookies. Now you're baking cookies. Your oven's not big enough. It only can cook so many cookies at a time. All right? Now, what's next? Now you need more money because you need a bigger oven, or you need a store, or you need this. But now you're up all night cooking cookies because you only cook 12 at a time. But you need more money than that. So everything is money. Everything you have to really think about when you're trying to say, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to become an entrepreneur. It looks good. You see a lot of entrepreneurs, they look cute, they got nice pocketbooks, they fly, they be struggling. Everybody's struggling.
Straight ahead.
For the Hingham School District, if any of you are familiar, that is a predominantly white area, and that's just white. You know, but I mean, I had over 200 teachers in Bernadine, right, talking about race and talking about what it's like to educate our Black and brown students, whether or not they're in MECO, most of which were in MECO, right, which is frustrating. And as a previous educator, I recognize all of that. And so again, it's finding the pockets. You know, I facilitated a workshop on the importance of social and cultural capital for men at Brockton High School who are part of the 100 Men's Project, right? Because again, it's very strategic. When I think about educating and mobilizing and collaborating with my community, I always have to think about who are often forgotten. Because when we thrive and when we excel, it's like everyone's at the top, right? And people want to celebrate and powwow with the people who are at the top with them. But think about all the people we're leaving behind. And so when I think about the historically marginalized community, they're my priority. Building with that community is important to me because I believe in decreasing the educational and achievement gaps in our society, which will impact our economic gaps as well. But again, it starts and ends with our stories. I'm tired of people narrating our stories for us. It's time that we take control and we do it ourselves.
Thank you. Very powerful. So collaboration is the basis for everything I do. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I've had a clothing line, I've hosted lots of different poetic, musical events throughout the city of Boston, Brockton, and similar to with Priscilla and just having a vision, I've done that with Jessica too. Jessica has hosted multiple of my events. I think collaboration specifically for What's on Your Mind starts with my board first and foremost, and identifying a lot of what I consider my strengths are and my weaknesses, and cultivating a group that balances me out and helps and supports me where I might be lacking. So currently I have a board of 2 members, an outreach director and also an assistant director. My assistant director is amazing. She is very artsy, so she's the one that comes up with all of our marketing and our flyers and our graphics and infographics and things like that. She's also a writer, so she's very strong in coming up with our newsletters and any of our literary work. And then, so since my organization is based in mental health, my background's in public health, I needed a actual clinician, a mental health provider. So Dominique Joseph is our outreach director, and she's the one that just ensures that everything we're doing is based in theory, rooted and grounded in actual practice, and it's not just us making things up as we go along. So I think collaboration definitely starts there. And because our mission is so huge, destigmatizing conversations around mental illness in communities of color, we're constantly talking to people in the community. We're constantly getting feedback, and we're constantly having those conversations. We do that primarily via our podcast called Mind, M-I-N-D, space, F-U-L-L. And that's really just taking the conversations that I initially was having in the street and bringing that to a platform where anyone can really listen and partake in those conversations. We've had 10 episodes so far. We just finished our first season. We've talked about interracial dating. We've talked about grief. That was our last episode. And thankfully, Jessica was able to share some of the things that she's been through on that episode. We've talked about a gamut of different things, mental health for mothers, talking about the postpartum experience, talking about even just finding out that you are pregnant. So it's all collaboration. And on those podcast episodes, again, we always have a therapist at the table to ground those conversations. A big event that we host, and it's going to be annually, we had our first ever Mind Fest last year. So that was at the Fuller Craft Museum in Brockton, and it was a day similar to today, really rainy. I think it was even worse, lots of wind, and we had 200 people at that event. And I'm just noticing, I love that Jessica put this group together because there's so much collaboration that has happened throughout this panel. Priscilla was there doing her electric slide, supporting me. Hopefully she can perform this year. So we had different health and wellness vendors there. We had a motivational speaker. So we do it in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the theme for the month was For Body, For Mind. So we had physical activity there as well. We had a What's on Your Mind wall where people wrote down whatever it was that they were thinking. And it was just a really powerful moment of collaboration between people from Brockton, Boston, Randolph, throughout the area, just fellowshipping over the same need. And
all of that. It's in business, you always want to think about what can I do for you and what can you do for me, right? And like you lead with that conversation, right? So again, as somebody to have that level of transparency, because the way I look at it is, for you to have a seat at a table, that's an honor, okay? So like I'm inviting you into this space so we can have this conversation. And in reverse, I'm honored I don't care how big or small the opportunity is, I'm honored every single time you ask me to do something, right? And so I'm going to treat that with a level of respect. And I always think about, again, what can I get out of this, right? That's just the business mentality. I don't like leading with that all the time because I think it takes a level of that genuineness out of it. We're just like, oh, I'm only doing it because I need something. But to your point about transparency is, again, I'm asking you to be part of this project because I see this in you. Because I see that you have this skill, I see that you have this talent, I see that you have this following, I see that you have X, Y, and Z. This is what I recognize in you and give the person their accolades, and then you're also like, and this is how I can continue to help you develop in what you're trying to do, right? And then open it up to them to also share with them, like, why did they take your call? Why are they accepting this meeting? What is it that they're looking for, right? And when it comes to money, again, legalizing the documentation that says, like, you get 50%, you get 25%. Proof based off of X, Y, and Z. Because the other thing is, I think money does complicate conversation, complicate dynamics. And sometimes people are like, well, you said I was going to get X, Y, and Z from this. But when you have contingencies, that's not necessarily a challenge. That's not necessarily a problem. Based off of X, Y, and Z. Because now you're going to take out the person who's only wanting to do this for the quick cash. You get what I'm saying? It's based off of you doing this every week, you doing this at the end of the month, you following through based off of X, Y, and Z. And having that set and very clear, I think it will naturally take out the person who's just here for the money, right? Because you're saying it's based off of this. And so now that person has to then reflect and say, well, damn, do I have time for this? Can I really do this? Do I care enough to make this happen, right? And I think, and for you, when you're having these conversations, you need to have thick skin too. And you need to be able and willing to hear, no, thank you so much, I love you, I respect you, but this is not something I have time for. Or, I think this is great, but I think somebody else might do a better job, right? So we have to be in a position too, as collaborators, to be receptive of information that may not always align with what our end goal is, at the time trusting the process and trusting the end goal. So best of luck to you.
That's for Black people, and so I think for us collaborating, it only makes sense because we realize that we can't do it on our own. So how can I benefit not only businesses, how can I benefit not only artists, but just kind of make it this like experience in which they're able to be introduced to spaces, to people, to artists, because the people that are walking into the doors are not just artists. Some people are there just to watch. So maybe they can book an artist. But I think in creating our vision, in creating our projects that we all plan on doing and taking over the world in some sort, I think it's important to collaborate because I think it's beautiful. It's easier, right? Because you could get to your mission, to your goal when you have people by your side. And I think of everybody who's spoken and working with Teresa, like the fact that she would call out to me when I was new in Boston just to host her event. I think I was introduced to so many artists that way. And Teresa is fly, y'all. Just her performing, even her podcast is amazing. Made me cry a couple of tears, but it's all right. But just, it's important to collaborate because I think it's just so much easier that way, y'all. Like, because y'all can do it by yourself, but so much easier when you have, and fun, and you have dope ideas that are like happening, and you're willing, and it's a way that you could support other people in exchange for them supporting you. Like, it's beautiful.
Alrighty, we only have about 20 minutes left, so I just want to check in to see if anybody in the audience has any questions, because I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask.
You guys can just stand up and ask the question.
Good afternoon. My question was for sorry.
Oh, and can you that works to empower women of color? I have some cards here. If I didn't get a chance to give you one, please come. We have an event coming up at the end of the month, January 26th. It's our Queen's Dinner. It's a really, you guys felt the vibe here. It's that times 10, so please come.
Hello everyone, my name is Bernadine DeSantis, also known as Bernadine Truth, so BERNADINE Truth. On Instagram, my website is bernadinetruth.com. Go on my website, subscribe so that you will be informed about all of my speaking engagements that are open to the public, and then also when I put out a new blog post every month, I do let my followers and subscribers know that. On Facebook, I am Know Your Truth, Speak Your Truth. And on LinkedIn is Bernadine DeSantis. My plug to you all is, I don't care what it is that you all do. If you're looking to collaborate with me, please just let me know. Approach me, have a conversation. I've collaborated and done workshops with makeup artists, and then I facilitated a women's empowerment session with them, talking about your worth and your value, while the makeup artists taught people how to apply their own makeup, right? So it's like, I think very creatively on how I'm able to collaborate with individuals, because again, it's about your vision and what you're looking to do, and so I'm down to support you no matter what. So Bernadine Truth on Instagram, bernadinetruth.com, and just come and say hi to me, Bernadine DeSantis. What's up? Know your truth, speak your truth, and never forget it.
Hello again, my name is Teresa Sophia Alphonse. I'm on Instagram at It's Teresa Sophia, ITSTheresaSophia. My website is www.woymindinc.org. I have some business cards with me, so after this, feel free to come up to me, say hello, and I will give you a business card.
Hello again. So my name is Stephanie Voltaire. You can find me on Instagram for the handbags at The Lord Designs, and that's VLUREDESIGNS. And on there you'll find the website and the Facebook page. We also do custom work, so if you're looking for a custom bag for yourself or anyone you know, you can let me know. And I also do bridesmaids bags for brides to give to their bridesmaids, and they can have a little message inside the bag. So that, and then for the travel page, you can follow us at Voyage Creole, and that's VOYJKREYOL. And this year we will be doing 2 group trips outside of the country. So follow us and you'll find out more. Thank you, ladies.
First, y'all gotta follow Black Cotton Club, because we got an event on January 25th, and I would love for all of you guys to be there. It'll be in Dorchester, so that'll be love. Even if you're not an artist or a performer of any kind, you could still come. If you wanted to get on the mic, you could do that too. And you can also follow me on Instagram at WriteDzor. So that's WriteDzor. Okay.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Inspired by travel, and it's all produced here in the U.S. So it's all inspired by India. I went to India for a couple weeks, and this is the collection that I built off of it. I would suggest taking postcards. I have my website and my name here. Okay. And because it's inspired by travel, of course. Yeah. I love that.
Jesus, to walk with me. You walked with my mother. Please walk with me. You walked with my mother. Please walk with me. All along this pilgrim's journey, Lord, I want Jesus to walk with me. We are your hands, we are your legs, we are your feet. We ask that you would use us, Father God. Use us, Father God. And Father God, because I know I'm the only thing standing before you and your meal, I ask, Father God, that you would bless the food and the hands that have prepared it for the nourishment of our bodies. Strengthen us as we connect with the God in us. Hear us, O Lord, and help us tell her story in 2019. We claim victory in the matchless name, the name above all names, the names where every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that he is Lord. And that name is the name of Jesus. And let the women of God say, amen.
Not this historic class of amazing women from diverse backgrounds we had never even seen before, fulfilling their purpose and taking our spirit, our support, and our belief in them with them. I wasn't in that moment. I got home and said, I should have been better. And that's not necessarily because I did anything wrong. My live shots were clean. I looked good. I bought a new suit. I hit the points that I should have. I was representative to the story I went out there to tell. But all I could think of was all of the things that I hadn't done that day, the day before, the preparation. I was upset that I took the week off between Christmas and Kwanzaa because I should have done more during that week and not be present in that moment. So the next day, I woke up exhausted. I stumbled into my kitchen. I walked past the chalkboard wall that I have in the kitchen there, and I found something new had been written on it. There was a Polaroid photo of me on the television screen and a note from my pre-husband that read, "Reporting live from Washington, D.C., I'm Crystal Haynes." I smiled and realized I was being a fool, a damn fool. The mistake I made was not letting the moments of that day matter. Watching Ayanna, watching Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, watching these women. I didn't let that sink in. I didn't let that matter. I was frustrated when my friend and photographer wanted to stop and take selfies in front of the Capitol building or the White House. I didn't take that moment as important. I didn't stop and say, hey, dummy, be present. Look at where you are. Listen when people say thank you for following this story and fighting for the coverage, because there is a vacuum of coverage right now. And our stories, your stories, her stories need to be told. So at the end of the day, I don't want my epitaph to read Crystal Haynes, journalist, TV reporter, CrossFit enthusiast, piano player, terrible piano player. I don't want it to read all of those things, right? The laundry list of things. I wanted to say Crystal Haynes, the person who found beauty in the quiet hours and cherished every single moment and gave more than she took and found her purpose in that work. But life's a process. I'm going to try again. I'm going to look up. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be mindful. And I'm going to be so grateful. Thank you so much.